For this goal 7, we need to figure out the distance traveled by an object in free fall. So the clues here are free fall. So these are objects that are falling due to gravity. So we know we're going to need to use g. G is 10 meters per second squared. Distance traveled is what we're trying to find. So when we go and look at our equations, you can see that these two are the ones used for falling objects, and because they have g in them, and the one with distance is the one we're going to need because we want to know how far it fell. So d equals 1/2 gt squared is the equation we're going to need. So d equals 1/2 gt squared. So we're going to basically just plug in our times. So for each of these problems, they're giving us time data. So we're going to plug in the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to say d equals 1/2, plug in g, which is 10, times 5, which is your time, but don't forget you have to square the time. So 5 squared is 5 times 5, which is 25. So 1/2 times 10 is 5, right? So 5 times 25 equals 125 meters would be the first answer. The next one, same equation, d equals 1/2 gt squared, because we're looking for the distance. We know it's in free fall. They're giving us a time. So our equation is 1/2 times 10 times 8 squared. 8 squared, 8 times 8 is 64, times 10 times divided by 2, or times 0.5, is 5. So 64, I'll use a calculator for that. So 64 times 5 equals 320. So the distance for 22 would be 320 meters. If something's been in free fall for 9 seconds, 1/2 times 10 times 9 squared. So 81 times 1/2 times 10, which is really times 5. So 81 times 5 equals 405 meters. And last problem, free fall. What's the distance covered if you've been in free fall for 20 seconds? 1/2 times 10 times 20 squared. So 20 squared, 20 times 20 is 400, times 10 equals, and then divided by 2, because that's the same thing as multiplying by 0.5. So it turns out to be 2,000. It will fall for 2,000 meters if you've dropped it for 20 seconds.